Then we're going for drums. I hope I'm still on track. I'm not sure, but we're going to do a kick and a bass. Kick and a bass. Finally, it's 808s. 808s and bass and 808s. You guys like 808s more than basses anyway, so. Let me see. Where are my kicks? Here's kick sub, kick 1, kick 2. Let's have a listen. That's kick sub. It's not really only the sub, but it's the subbier kick of the two. That's just the higher kick. So it alternates between those two kicks. And then there's a kick sub, which is actually, it fills in the blanks there. See, it's not playing the same pattern as kick 2. It's actually, so you can imagine having a kick and a sub kick, which is almost an 808, and an 808 can be quite challenging. Yeah. But we tackled it. We did it. So I'll just start with the hook and then we'll do the verse as well. But the hook is more interesting because it has both of those. It has the normal kick and the sub kick, and then the 808. So I'm gonna have to put the big speakers on. I'll mute the mic for a sec. Okay, so what I needed to check was how I figured this out. So what I did was the kick sub is actually not doing the sub. It's just an extra groove element, and I decided to, even though it's named kick sub, not treat it as a sub kick whatsoever. I just wanted it to give an extra push and be a kick. So I have that top layer on there and a bit of sub in there, so you get the idea that it's functioning as an 808, but it's more doing of the mids and high mids to just get that groove going and do the same thing. Now the kick is just a punchy kick. It's probably, if we look at the EQ, around 80, so it's a bit of a higher kick, which is nice because the 808 is pretty low. Still, pretty, it's not that low. So what I did was, let me get those two out of each other's way. It's kick 2, right? Kick 2, kick 2, there. I high passed the kick to 40, and I also high passed the 808 to 40. The 808 had lots of low end in it, so I didn't need that. It was too much. It ate up all my headroom. I needed it to do something different, and I needed it to have a little bit less low end and more mids, so it could push through a bit more. If it's more audible, it can have you can give it a lot less low end for it to be really present in the mix. So that's really the key to getting loud 808s and loud mixes, is the presence of your low end elements. So they don't have to be crazy loud in the mix and overpowering everything. It's easy to misjudge on smaller speakers how loud your 808 should be. But yeah, then get bigger speakers. No, check on headphones. You could even buy a sub back thingy. I've never mixed with it, but maybe it works. Find something that you can judge the sub on, and listen loud sometimes. I mean, it's a struggle when your speakers don't go down in the frequency range that far. But yeah, learn to mix with that. Learn how much low end is too much. And if you have a car, check in your car, because your car is a great check. Every mix I do, I check in my car, and that works perfectly for me. So you can see a bit, I carved out different elements of these. So 600 is pushing up, and it's going down a bit more there, because there was enough info in the kick at 600, and I needed a bit more mid push for that 808 to come through. This is one of the rare occasions where you see me boosting with a Pro Q3. It worked, so I went with it. Taking out some of 110 and some of 90 here, just to make the kick more focused on the lower part and the middle part. Thanks, Juno. And leave more space for that kick here. So that kick punches through a bit more. It's a bit nicer. I use down mixer and everything. And I use the decap on the 808, of course. Hey, a different style. I switch up the styles. I want to switch up the styles because it's different types of distortion, and if you take one style for everyone, for everything, for every source, then you're going to push up the same frequencies in those harmonics, and then you're just gonna clutter the mix. So I'm not actually going to write down, I've got so many E's, so many A's, so many N's, so many T's. I'm just going by ear and by feel, like, okay, I've seen the letter E a lot today, maybe this would work better. And hearing, of course, just listening to it. I'm not that conscious about my decapitator settings, but just listening to what it's doing. So the 808 has EQ and decapitator and a side chain of kick 2 to the bass. So that side chains it there. One thing about Pro Tools, if you send something anywhere, the delay compensation only works on the tracks. So if I send this, if I would make a send on kick 2 and send it to this C6 that's on the 808, it would come in later because it doesn't have delay compensation. I think now with the most recent version, I don't have the most recent version here, they changed it, so they actually fixed it. I'm not sure, I'm gonna check, but they should have fixed it, and you should be able to just directly put on a send on the track, get it there, and push down the 808. So that pushes it down a bit for the subkick to come through, so it comes through a bit, just enough. I don't need to have the speakers moving there telling you have the subkick. I just need the top end and enough of the low end to give the feeling of the groove. And then I apparently needed more of that, so I did the track spacer as well. I did the track spacer for the normal kick. So I did the track spacer for kick SC. Kick SC is a track with both of those kicks. Has the kick 1 and kick 2. And the reason I put them on different tracks is because I nudge them. You can now nudge them forward slightly. So you see that this here, this doesn't align. This should be there. So there is a samples. There's a 29 samples difference there. And I just take this and I nudge it back and forth until it sounds good and it comes through and it gets out of the way. It ducks it, it sidechains it before the kick comes in, and it sounds great. I'm just going with what sounds great, what feels great. Juno's awake, so he's also going for what feels great. And we are going to check something else. So that's that. I've got a bit of chorus on there just to get a bit of width. I sometimes duplicate it and add a chorus only to the low mids, so you get a bit more width over there. I didn't feel I really needed to over here. Kick sub treatment is EQ, carving some of this out so I get more attention here and in the mids. It's just a contrast game every time. Hey, E. I push this up quite a bit on wet. Let's see what that does without it. That's completely different. That's it, yeah, that's a subkick. But now, if I put this in the mix, where the fuck did that go? That's nowhere. There is no room for it. It's a really great idea. It's amazing that it's there. It has a function, but I just needed to change it to be able to fit in a mix. Luckily, Vince liked it. The artist could have also gone like, no, I just want that to live in the lows. Figure it out. And then I would have gone back to the drawing board and see how can I make that and the 808 bass live in the low end. I would have needed to figure something out. The love that we feel right now, to me, that's kind of scary. See how much that changes the groove? It's there somewhere, but with the top end, the mids and the high mids in there, because of the decapitator, you completely change the groove of that drum track. Then another thing, next to to make even more room for this, next to the C6, is I actually automate the level, the volume of this track down. So I actually grab the part, let me zoom in a bit, grab the part where the kick is. Here is the core part of the kick, the transient of the kick. I take that down. Make sure, if you're doing this, you don't put these points on top of each other, because you are gonna create clicks. You can also do this with clip gain, but I like to do it with the volume, so the sound doesn't change that much, because the processing is going to be the same if you're doing it, because clip gain is before the processing and volume is after the processing. Then I've got the snare here. The time that we share right now, that is temporary. The love that I had a little bit of trouble with that snare, trying to fit it in. The time that we share right now, that is temporary. Oh, thank you. was a bit soft. I don't like soft snares. So I start with Decapitator on full blast, of course. Just having the drive high, a darker setting with the Neve, darker tone, and then mixing it in 50, 60%, just to get it beefed up a bit more with the harmonics and just a lower version of it tucked underneath it. That gives it that body that I needed. It got harsh, as every snare does, so I take that down. No need for dynamic EQ. It's always the same snare. It's always going to be the same annoying frequency. So, and I don't really care about the tail also being EQ'd. A lot of distortion with the lo-fi. The lo-fi is a plugin that always sounds better because you can't gain stage it. It doesn't have an output trim, so you always have to sort of go by, okay, it has a lo-fi, it sounds better now. What's this doing? Oh, only the gate, yeah? Okay, I can't really figure out what this is doing. Sometimes I just put on plugins for their sound, just for the flavor, the texture. I think it sounds better with this on, so I'll just leave it on there. 1176. Ah, nice. Getting a transient, taking it, getting it even more in your face. It's a slow attack and a really fast release. So the transient comes through and then it clamps down. And then some pull tech action. Giving it even more body, more highs, taking out a bit of this. These two knobs together are great because it pushes a really wide bell and then it cuts above that, and everything has a different relationship to each other with these knobs. So I'm not sure about the numbers, but 20 is supposed to, let's say if you boost 20 hertz, you have this on 20, this cuts 150. This, if you put it on 30, it boosts 30 hertz really broadly, and it cuts 200, and it goes up like that. Don't quote me on these numbers. I'm not sure. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna see if I can find it somewhere, and I might post it. That. We've got the drums parallel. I'm just gonna quickly run through this, guys. I want to show you everything, but I can't show you everything. It's so much. I don't know how we're doing with time. I'm just going to check how we're doing with time. All right, so I've got about 15 minutes to wrap this up. I think I'm gonna take a little bit more time. But I'll get to the really important stuff. I'll make sure. So I think that's the drum parallel is more important than hi-hats and stuff. Maybe I'll get to the hi-hats later. Drum parallel, what's going to the drum parallel? Let's figure out what's going to the drum parallel. This one's not. The kick sub is not. It would take up too much of the low end. The kick 1 is fully going to the parallel. Kick 2 is fully going to the parallel. Everything is just on 0. Even the hi-hats on 0 in the parallel. So they can all be in there. The reason I put the hi-hats in the parallel is because they alter the groove. So when the snare and the hat are playing together, they both get tucked down by the level that it's compressing because of the snare being in there or because of the kick. So when the pattern of the hi-hat would be straight, tuck, 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 it would now go down on the kick, be up when there's no kick or snare, and then go down on the snare again. So it would almost be like there's someone drumming, and it grooves a bit more, and the level of the hi-hat goes down and up and down and up, and it lives a bit more. So yeah, my new template is amazing because I just have one solo button for the entire drum group, and it's effects and everything. I don't have that right here, but that was super fast as well. You notice how the hi-hats go without the parallel drum and bass. So I've got a pretty fast attack and a pretty fast release. I want to have the drums clamped down here. I've already got the transients from the kicks and the snares in the source tracks. There's enough transient info there. I just want to block underneath it with some more power, some more drive. And that's what I'm creating by putting the attack a bit faster and the release. I don't want a long release because then it's going to be compressing when the next hit is going to be. See, now the kick is hitting and it's still clamping down at 6 dB and it's still staying there. And this really adds to the groove. It's fresher, it's pointier, it keeps it moving. And with a slow release, it fucks it up. Then I take a bit of the high-end info in the mids out of it so the vocal can have its presence there. Sorry, guys. And then some decapitator on E setting, apparently. Just to get a bit more low mids out of there, more pointiness. I mean, I like it with or without the decap. It's just choices. You feel some way on a day and something works on that moment. Sometimes you do unnecessary things. Sometimes it was really necessary for the record. Sometimes you can't remember why you've done something. And sometimes it's magic and you can't recreate it. So it's always different if you go back. I know you guys want to see what I did for the kicks. It's really easy. So the EQ I already showed you. That's kick 1. And then the DBX 160. How often do so just giving it that extra push. And then lo-fi. How often? Lo-fi is great for kicks. I love it. Just a little bit of saturation, a little bit of distortion. I go a bit easier on the saturation these days because it kills your transients. So don't go overboard with all the saturation on drums and vocals. Use it wisely, but use it. Use it, use it, use it. It's a different type of kick, different EQ. This gets compressed a bit harder, but if you can see like that's 10. I'm not even at the 5 line. So I'm not doing that much. It's just making sure that transient comes out a bit more. It's squashed a bit more. On the hi-hats, I had some lo-fi, just saturation. Just going to fly over these guys, and I really need to pick up the pace. It had a nastiness in the high end, and now it's better because of the lo-fi. Taking it out a bit more, 10K out of there. It's all case dependent, so that's why I'm also not really diving in there as you may want me to. Let's see, I wanted to show you guys the vocal reverb because I forgot that one. I had the Lexicon 480 on there because I have it here and I really like it, but it just didn't do what I wanted it to do. And then I asked Vince what he was using in his demo because I really like the demo reverb, and I ran with that. So that's an ambience 4.4 seconds. And instead of using pre-delay, I use an Echo Boy. So it really times the pre-delay. And I can still manipulate it a bit. I can use the high pass, the low pass, the modulation, the lo-fi. On a 32 note, which would be 100 milliseconds. So it's a long pre-delay, a really long pre-delay. I range somewhere between, for a lead vocal, I usually am around 40, 50, and 100 is a lot. So that's the ambience, and that's lo-fi. Let's see if we can, I don't know if it's the preset I use that's currently on the 480. But let's see how much of a difference a different reverb makes.
That we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. 'Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry. The time that we share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. 'Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry.
It almost sounds like it's a tiny bit louder, so he's a bit drier, but this sounds more mature and more in context with the song, which is, it's not a happy song. It's not supposed to be a really bright vocal. And this really gives a dark ambience, sort of, I want to say maturity to what he's saying. It keeps it dark, keeps a dark undertone. Yeah, I immediately felt the record clicked when I put on this RMX 16. Sometimes reverb does that. Sometimes you put on reverb like, okay, I just need some reverb. Let's use a Valhalla or whatever. But sometimes a reverb can really make or break a record. So that's just why I wanted to jump back into the reverb thingy. I am going to go to my master buses. So I've got the all drums, all music, all vocals, and all effects. All drums has the SSL compressor. I've got an SSL compressor here. If there was a way I could put that on this bus and have recall at all times with this compressor, yeah, I would have used it all the time because I love it. If I could have had this on my master bus, it just does something, especially because it's the original one inside the desk with all the VCA cards in there. Yeah, it does something else than the new SSL compressors, the smart compressors. It's just different. I can't describe it.
That we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. 'Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry.
Again, pushes out the transients. A long attack, 30 milliseconds, and a 0.3 second release. You can go 0.1. I feel that I need the 0.3 second release because otherwise the transients get in the way of my vocal. So now the transients get smeared in the back a little bit more, which I feel gives a more relaxed result. So that's it. Not doing a lot, but without it, I wouldn't feel the mix is done.
That we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. 'Cause if I let you in right now,
Pushing it out, I love it. The Studio A80.
that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. 'Cause if I let you in right now,
This gives a really nice shift in the low end, which makes kicks shift a bit more from the subs to the mids and makes them push out of the speakers a bit more. Comes through a bit better on smaller systems. Apparently taking out some of 5K in the mid, only the mid info, so only here. And the black box is great on this, on drums.
that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. 'Cause if I let you in right now,
I always use it in parallel, so it's got the mix on 54, and this is like 51, 51. No saturation. It is in. I don't know if that means that it is actually doing something. All Music sometimes has the Millennia. I really like this one in MS mode to make all the music elements wrap around it a bit more. I didn't feel the need this time because I already fixed it in the sources itself. All vocals. Soothe, of course. Soothe is either on the all vocals bus or on the vocal track itself. Yeah, I don't need two soothes, I think, for a vocal. If one can't fix it, I won't use another one. You can see I did a little bit on the vocal track itself, and the rest I'm really doing on this, which is also not a lot either, because half of the shit that's on my vocal bus isn't even on. Soothe works this way, that this is going to be your detector circuit. So this is basically the sidechain. This is what it's going to respond to.
that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary.
If I do this now, it's going to be compressing, taking up more of this.
That we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. 'Cause if I let you in right now,
See how I push this up and this doesn't respond anymore? That's because this is saying I'm not sending anything below this to that soothe reduction circuit. So it's not going to do anything below that. So in a normal EQ, this would be pushing up 2.5K. But here you're pushing up 2.5K in the detector circuit. So that means it's going to react more to 2.5K. So you're going to end up with less 2.5K. It's going to work harder in that region. So that's really important to know. With oversampling, I either go 4 times oversampling or I go to resolution ultra. Rarely do I go both ways. I take this depth down or I take the mix down, because the mix max reduction is normally 60 dB. But if you take it down to 90%, it's already 20 dB. So that way you can really make sure it's not going overboard somewhere. Then the Fairchild. I always have the Fairchild on my vocal bus. I love it. It's barely doing anything.
that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. 'Cause if I let you in right now,
It rarely touches 1 dB of gain reduction, but it just does something.
that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. 'Cause if I let you in right now,
It's not really about the compression it's doing, it's about the harmonics, it's about the texture it's giving me, it's about moving the vocal 30 centimeters more to the front, getting it more in your face, getting it more present. It's not about the type of compression it's doing, it's about the sound that it introduces to the record.
That we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry. The time that we share right now, that is temporary.
To be honest, without this EQ, I like the vocal sound more. The vocal sound. I like the record more with this EQ. I'm making a record, I'm not making a vocal sound. I'm not making an instrumental with a vocal on top of it. I'm making a record that should feel like a record. So this blends the best into the record. So that's what I'm going for. Even though my selfish Thomas inside me says it sounds better without the pull tech. This really helps my effects to peak out a bit more. Just a bit of saturation on those effects to make them shine a bit more, give them a bit more, I don't know what to call it. Something. A bit more something to just shine out a bit more, do their thing. Let's see if we can tell a difference.
That we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry. The time that we share right now, that is temporary.
To me, it falls together. It's sort of like there's something being spread to the sides, and it creates more depth. It's nicer. The Premaster, SSL bus.
That we feel right now, to me that's kinda
Barely doing a thing.
To me that's kinda scary. To me that's kinda scary. Cause if I let you in right now.
But to me, it glues it together. It could be placebo that I'm thinking there's an SSL compressor on it now. This must be better. But yeah, I like it. Brainworks BX Digital V3 for the stereo with automation, which you can see right here. In the intro, I just have it on 102%, so slightly wider than it is without that plugin on. And then in the hook, it goes to 120%. Then it goes back to 102 after that hook, and then 111. That's this part over here. I put extra attention into how that first hook goes back into the verse again. And I also automated the guitar there, making it collapse a bit more into mono, so the contrast is bigger. Let's have a listen to that.
Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry. Why chase tomorrow if today ain't promised? Hold your breath.
The idea is that it opens up more there. So this would be a bigger contrast, even though this is 111 and it comes from 120, that this part over here gets smaller, it's 102. I might even do, if I would do it now, I might even do it more drastically. I might even go 80. Let's do 80, let's listen to it again.
Why chase tomorrow if today ain't promised? Hold your breath.
That's more drastical. I might have done that. But hey, sometimes you do a record, you do it one way, and then when you open up the record again, you wanted to do it another way. You can't always have the same thing going. So that's a really minimal master bus, because I knew he was going to send it to, I should have checked which mastering engineer again. A mastering engineer in New York. They did a great job. I really liked how the record went. So that way I only did the minimum I wanted to do, because I knew it was in good hands, and they could make something really nice out of it. The standard clip by Sir Audio Tools. The way I use this is before my limiter, so my limiter doesn't, so it shaves off the peaks before it hits my limiter. So when I play the loudest part of the mix,
we share right now, that is temporary. The love that
I take this fader down the clip, so you see tiny spots of red clipping.
we share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now.
See, it's clipping there, just shaving off those peaks, so my limiter afterwards doesn't have to do those peaks again. It can more equally take down the other peaks. And I do the soft clip around 4. It's different every time. Mode soft clip classic or pro is different every time. Just figure it out. It's a really simple plugin. It took me a minute to learn that this was like the threshold for the clipping. But once you know that, it's fine. And then the Brainworks BX limiter, the True Peak version, I really like this one. The XL shit is nice. It just, yeah, it works way better. I'll show you what it does with and without the standard clip.
we share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry. The time that
So with the standard clip, it was limiting about 3 dB. I always keep it up to 3 dB, not a lot more, unless I really am fighting a loud demo that I really need to win. But without the standard clip, it was doing 4, maybe 5 somewhere. So you can really tell that these two carrying the load together makes you able to dive in a bit further, make it a bit louder. These two are no solution to a shitty mix that isn't loud. Get your mix loud and make sure that this gets them even louder so your clients think you're the best mastering engineer on the planet, and then send it to the best mastering engineer on the planet. Then this is normally on the master, but I couldn't route it the way I wanted. So this is normally on there. Referencing is so important. It's so important. It immediately tells you what you should be doing with your mix. It freshens up your ears. Referencing with a demo, with other songs you did from the album, with songs from other artists, albums that you really like. Put them next to it, listen to it, A/B, and check what should be better in your song. Because sometimes you can feel really great about a mix and really confident and super excited, and then you listen to another mix and it's just not that great. It's just not. So let's have a listen to close down, because I think I've spent enough time showing you this mix. Let's have a listen to how the demo got to me, what I heard at first, and what I made of it. So here's the demo. I'm gonna play the last hook. Here's the demo, and then I'm gonna switch to my mix.
the time that we share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry. The time that we share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry.
That's quite a difference. So it's louder, it's wider, it's nicer, it's, yeah. First time I played this for him, he was pretty happy. And so am I. So I think that's a job well done. And I'm really glad I took the time to take you guys through this. And I hope my phone is still recording. Otherwise, it's just gonna be me and my audio because my phone is almost dead. I can see the message. But thanks, guys. And please let me know in the comments if you want me to do this on a monthly basis, because I think this felt great and I would love to do this more. So if you guys feel the same, show some love in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.
We share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry. The time that we share right now, that is temporary. The love that we feel right now, to me that's kinda scary. Cause if I let you in right now, the loss I cannot carry.